All right, let's jump right in. So you've applied for a remote job and bam, you're hit with the skill assessment. It can feel like this super high-stakes, mysterious exam. But what if you had the playbook? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this new world of remote assessments and help you turn that test anxiety into a confident, winning strategy.
In this quote, it gets right to the heart of it. The game has totally changed. In today's skills-first hiring world, just listing proficient in X on your resume, it's just not going to cut it anymore. Employers need to see your skills in action, and we're about to break down exactly how you can show them what you've got.
So you might be asking, why this massive shift? Well, it really all comes down to the explosion of remote work. Think about it. Without being able to see you in an office every day, hiring managers need a more direct way to prove you can do what you say you can do. They're moving past the resume to get objective proof that you're ready to hit the ground running.
And here's the difference in a nutshell. Traditional hiring, it was all about trust and, let's be honest, a lot of subjective gut feelings from an interview. The new remote skills-first model is all about data. It's about using assessments to get real, objective, and provable evidence that you have the skills for the job.
Okay, so you're sitting down to take one of these tests. What are they actually looking for? Let's decode this thing. Once you understand what the assessment is truly designed to measure, you've got the first key to totally acing it.
What they're testing is a mix of things. Of course, they want to see your hard skills, your technical abilities for that specific role. But, and this is a big but, they are just as focused on those foundational remote skills. Can you think for yourself? Can you manage your own time without a boss looking over your shoulder? Can you communicate clearly when you're not in the same room? That's what they really need to find out.
And you should think of these skills like a chain reaction, a ripple effect. Great self-discipline makes effective time management possible. Good time management, in turn, demands clear communication. And all of that comes together to build you into an independent problem solver. The big takeaway here? When you work on any one of these, you're actually strengthening all the others at the same time.
So we've talked about the what. Now let's get into the how. Your winning strategy begins way before you even see that first question. It's all about mastering your environment and controlling every single thing that you can control.
This is your pre-flight checklist. And seriously, do not skip this part. A stable internet connection, a quiet room with good lighting, a clean desk. These aren't just suggestions, they're basically requirements. Getting this stuff right eliminates a whole category of stress and technical glitches you really don't want to deal with.
Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, proctoring. I know, it sounds intense, but all it really is AI-powered monitoring. It uses tools like facial recognition and browser tracking for one simple reason, to make sure it's a fair test environment for everybody. Once you understand the tech, it becomes a lot less intimidating.
So when you log in, you're going to go through a pretty standard check-in process. You'll show your ID to the camera, do a quick 360-degree scan of your room, and just make sure your face stays in the frame. Just knowing these steps are coming makes the whole thing feel way more professional and routine and a lot less invasive.
Managing your time during the test is a skill all by itself. So before you even start, take a second to analyze the layout. Then, use timed mock tests to get your pacing down. When it's the real deal, knock out the questions you feel good about first to build momentum. Keep a close eye on that clock, and if you can, always leave a few minutes at the end to review. This is how you turn time into your ally.
All right, foundation set. Now let's get into some advanced tactics. How do you actually conquer the specific types of tests you're probably going to see?
For any kind of writing or content test, you've got to master two sides of the same coin. There's the art, your grammar, your vocabulary, your tone, but the science is just as crucial. They want to see that you get SEO, that you can do keyword research, and that you know how to write differently for a business audience versus, say, a regular consumer.
You're going to see case study problems like this one all the time. A client's profits are down 15%. What do? The thing is, the question isn't really about finding the one right answer. It's all about how you get to an answer.
Here is the winning formula. First, clarify the problem. Show them you get it. Next, come up with a few testable ideas or hypotheses. Then, and this is the most critical part, you have to think out loud. They want to follow your logic. And finally, structure your recommendation clearly.
For case studies, remember, your thought process is the product.
Okay, so how do you get good at all this stuff? Well, the final piece of the puzzle is deliberate practice. Let's look at some of the tools you can use to get a real measurable edge over the competition.
Practicing on the right platforms gives you this massive advantage called platform literacy. It just means that when you already know the interface and how the test works, you're not wasting precious brain power trying to figure out where the buttons are. You can put 100% of your focus on the questions themselves, and that's where your skills can really shine.
So where should you start? Well, for coding challenges, HackerRank is fantastic. They even have prep kits for specific companies. For more general skill testing, check out Test Gorilla. They have a huge library of different tests. And then you have platforms like HireBasis, which offer totally free, no-nonsense tests for those core remote skills. The key is to find the tool that fits the job you want and just start practicing.
When it all comes down to it, the goal of all this prep work is much bigger than just passing a test. It's about showing that you have a structured, logical way of thinking. It's about proving you have that whole package, the self-discipline, the communication, the problem-solving, to be a truly successful remote employee. So I'll leave you with this final thought. These assessments, they aren't just some annoying hurdle you have to jump over. They're actually a training ground for the exact skills you need to succeed in a remote world. So think beyond just landing this one job. How will mastering self-discipline, structured thinking, and clear communication right now end up shaping your entire remote career down the road?